Today, on Locked On Phoenix Suns, win streak.
We're going streaking.
Kevin Durant is a Phoenix Sun. Things are very good. Let's go.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Suns. I'm Brendon, Kleen, a staff writer at Awful Announcing and a credentialed Suns media member. Thank you for making Locked On Suns your first listen to kick off your Tuesday. It's almost Tuesday while we're recording this. Thank you for being here. Don't forget Locked On Suns is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So click that follow or subscribe button to do what thousands of other Suns fans have already done. Become an everydayer and get locked on to the Phoenix Suns right here each and every day. Today's episode, guys, is brought to you by the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app to buy any ticket you need. Create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA when you do to get $20 off your first purchase. Joining me, take number 15. We had an episode we thought we lost, and then it ended up being here. You've seen us do this once already. We are at Footprint Center. It is Ben Garcia. How are you doing?
I am so stoked to be here. What a great game for the Suns to have tonight. Kevin Durant going down the stretch and being able to carry this team in what felt like, I don't know to you, Brendon, a game I thought for sure they were going to lose. This isn't something like from last year where it was, oh, they win this game or they lose this game last year. I just thought they outright were going to lose this game, and I was getting takes formulated and like, okay, well, you know, it's just one. It felt like they let their guard down, but overall a game that just championship contending teams win, and that's what I saw tonight. I don't know about you.
I won't make you do 7 words or less, but I do have one from, longtime listener Jesse, Reaping in the Valley. I like that one.
Oh, it's good. It's good.
It's a little bit of a mix. I mean, all of them were KD related today. There was some Nurk stuff. I don't want to be,
No,
we don't have to do that today.
Not right now. How do you watch a game like that and the first thing you think of is going out? Listen,
ask all these people. It wasn't mine.
We'll talk about Nurk later. We will. We'll get to it. But right now, this is happy times. That was a great win right there.
I liked I'm not even going to say it's a million numbers, Jonathan. Shout out Jonathan. You know who he is, Kevin Durant. I mean, that is all that you really need to say. But we're not even going to go back and forth on moments of the game tonight because KD just put together an all-time sequence, one of the best since he got to the Valley, and we're just going to start there. 4 minutes and 30 seconds, Ben. Book checks in, and that basically sets the final closing lineup. It's not a clutch time game at that point because the score is actually 7. It has to be 5. It gets there, of course. They're down 7, though, to just reiterate that. And from that point on, I think KD had 10 points in the fourth quarter. I believe he had 6 or 8 in just this stretch alone. He has the step back over Caleb Martin. He has the driving, drawn foul on Yabusele. He has the 3 that even he admitted he might have gone a little early on. And then he has the last bucket to really ice it out. I mean, I saw Gerald Bourguet from PHNX say, like, we've already had so many moments that make us go, that's why you give up everything for Kevin Durant. But yet he's going on 37, and we just keep being reminded this dude is a legend, and you cannot guard him when he's in that kind of rhythm.
I just don't care about the age thing anymore. But man, Kevin Durant, after what was kind of a newsy weekend for him, going after Stephen A. Smith going back at him, to be able to show out tonight and just continue to show everyone that he is still prime Kevin Durant. Like oftentimes people say, oh, this is vintage Kevin Durant. No, it's not what this was tonight. Kevin Durant is still in his peak, and it just gets more and more insane each time he does it because the oldest guy on this team, it's not Devin Booker, it's not Nurkic, it's not Grayson Allen. They are consistently turning the ball over to him. And at 37 years old, I wonder how sustainable it is for an 82-game regular season. Maybe we don't see that all the time. But through 7 games, they have called his number multiple times, and there hasn't been one time he hasn't answered the bell. And that's what makes a guy what I believe a top 10 NBA player of all time. When you just see that the 76ers have no one to defend him. And I was kind of surprised with Nick Nurse, his adjustments, not throwing Paul George at KD, consistently going with the Caleb Martin matchup. That was strange to me. But Kevin Durant, it's one thing to get a mismatch, you have to exploit it, and that's what he did tonight.
Yeah, there's so many things. I mean, let's just say his stats. 38 minutes, you mentioned, of course, of the regular season. Another thing I'm not really going to worry about is the minutes. I mean, he played 37 a game overall of the 70-plus he played last year, and it was this talking point all season. He's back to it again. I think he's just figured out how to pace himself in these games in a way where that doesn't really bother me. If anything, it's an advantage from the Suns to be able to have a dude you can leave out there and not be monitoring constantly. But 35, 4, and 6, 70% shooting then, and then only 3 turnovers. Like, that's just absurd.
So it was actually really funny. You were talking to someone else over here in the media section, and you had said, oh my goodness, I overheard you say, oh my goodness, Kevin Durant has 30 points, and it doesn't feel like
that's
he
exactly
has 30
where I was about
points.
to go. No, it's like, I don't even mean that to be disrespectful. It just speaks to the overall efficiency, and he doesn't have bad games, and it's just a matter of, is it going to be a great game, right? He's always going to be pretty good. And in this one, it's that last stretch in the fourth quarter where you're like, okay, well, I'm not going to say that anymore. Of course I saw this dude on the court tonight and noticed it, because he gave us no choice but to notice it.
Yeah, I think because Kevin Durant, we're so used to him getting a bunch of buckets oftentimes in games. I agree with you. I'll double down. When you had said that, I just wasn't paying attention. Honestly, a lot of my locks and a lot of my takes were going to be more so centered around Bradley Beal, so I'm focusing in on him. And you're right, at that point it was 33 points, and I agreed with you. It was just like, I cannot believe that at that point in this game he had that many. It just speaks to the volumes of Kevin Durant and his ability to can still, down the stretch, there are not many players that can defend him. 76ers don't have that guy, and it just continues to be impressive for me.
So in terms of the how, right? So we talked about this a little bit. I talked about it in the 3 surprises solo thing I did the other week, where I was saying it's not surprising that KD is doing this, similar to what we're saying now, but it's how he's doing it, the consistency and the flow. And I think we saw more examples of that tonight. You mentioned like the Caleb Martin matchup and things like that, but they were relentless going at the matchups that they wanted to, and they did it within an offense. Like I know it's like maybe December 1st, we just got to say no more saying Frank Vogel on the show. But right now, like I still am in that headspace of comparing it to last season, and I look at how slow and deliberate and unorganized they were, even when they could see a matchup they wanted to go at and they had the tools to do it. You'd have suddenly a post up with 4 seconds left, and you're chucking up an errant shot. In this case, whether it was Maxey, whether it was Yabusele, who KD mentioned that they knew he knew he would have the quickness to get past, which he did on that the drawn foul late in the game. They do it as part of the offense, right? So it's like, we're going to run a staggered screen. We know the last screen's going to be switched, and we're going to get the guy we want. But it's with 18 seconds on the clock. It's with the ball in Tyus's hands. It's with whatever. When the ball gets to KD in that mismatch, there's space around him. Like, we can't just ignore how much better in a position to succeed he's being put in right now, on top of just being able to make awesome shots. Because he's always been able to make awesome shots, and obviously last year was still a problem. But a night like this also reminds me of, like, this is night and day from last year. He wouldn't have been able to do 4 straight plays of this, getting exactly what they wanted last season.
Well, and this is a Kevin Durant appreciation segment, but a lot of that, again, just has to do with what Mike Budenholzer does to free him up, and it's getting him involved earlier in the game so that later in the game he's still as engaged. It's just tough as a player when you're kind of phased out of the offense oftentimes, like he was with Frank Vogel, for long periods of stretches where you're trying to keep him involved, but he's not really into it. I don't remember a lot, and I don't think this is an indictment on Kevin Durant. I don't remember a lot of huge buckets last year from Kevin Durant. And if there were, maybe there were a few of them, like huge buckets to win games.
Well, I called the Clippers one on opening night the best shot he had hit as a Sun, and people reminded me of the Bulls shot over Caruso last year.
I remember that one.
Filthy.
I remember the Bulls one, and I remember the year before the Mavericks one. But outside of those two, I don't remember. That's not an indictment on Kevin Durant. It's a praise on him that he gets a competent head coach. He's already had 5 of those shots. already, through 7 games. He has hit bucket after bucket. I remember
he had 2 of them tonight.
He had 2 tonight. He had one in the 2 small in Luka Doncic, the
Yeah.
Clippers, and then he had a couple with the Lakers as well. Like, Kevin Durant is unleashed in this, and I don't know, man. Dark horse MVP candidate. I mean, it's 7 games. I'm talking nonsense, but MVP candidate. It fits the narrative of a 37-year-old
He
carrying
already
a
made
team.
second team All-NBA at 35. Like, I mean, you know, if we're talking about more unlocked, more in a rhythm, still playing heavy minutes, we've been talking and harping up his defense already this season. Like, he is on another planet right now. I want to talk about the defense a little bit and give a little more credit to Mike Budenholzer. Ben will give his big takeaway from the night. We'll get there in just a second. First, guys, listen up. If you ever feel like you're stuck in this loop of rent payments, just watching your money vanish into thin air, it's time to turn that rent game around and start earning some serious rewards, and that's where Built Rewards comes in. Built, B-I-L-T, is breaking ground as a neighborhood rewards program that hooks you up with points on your rent. Every month, pay your rent and watch the Built points roll in. Use points to jet off on a dream vacation. Put your points toward a flight or hotel stay with 500 plus airlines, 700,000 plus hotels and properties. And you can also use your points to book fitness studio classes, redeem them toward a future rent payment, and more, designed to meet your lifestyle. Pay rent hassle-free through the Built Rewards app. Your rent game just got a major upgrade. Built points have been consistently ranked the highest value point currency by the Points Guy and Bankrate. Again, earn points by paying rent right now when you go to joinbuilt.com/lockedonnba. That's joinbilt.com/lockedonnba. Make sure to use our URL, that LockedOnNBA code at the end, so they know we sent you. Join bilt.com/lockedonnba to start earning points with your rent payments today. Today's episode, guys, is also brought to you by the Game Time app. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. I've told you before, you go and you look at whatever the event is or whatever city you might be in, even if it's the city you live in, you're going to find something you didn't even realize was going on. And best of all, with Game Time Picks, you're going to find the best value ticket right up top on the app, right there for you to know that you're saving money. Concerts, comedy, theater, and of course sports here at the Footprint Center. Although I say concerts, they do those here obviously as well. In addition to the all-in pricing, the view from your seat, and more that has always been there, making Game Time, as I've always called it, the best place to buy tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time.
That's right. All right, we're back. Let's keep it rolling here, Ben. So give me your big takeaway from the game. Again, big win by the Suns, 118-116. Yeah. KD closes it out. Macro, zoom out, 30,000 foot. What's on your mind?
Yeah, so here's my big takeaway from this game, and I'm going to extend it off of what we just talked about with Kevin Durant, but I wanted to wait a second for this. You and I debated earlier in the year, and I don't think you so much disagreed with me. I think you so much were just like, well, that's not really fair. Devin Booker can do that too. 3 games in this season, and I think Budenholzer at this point is tend to lean towards this argument as well. This team is not only going to go as Kevin Durant goes, but this team, the number 1 player for them to win a championship, I do believe it does have to be Kevin Durant. History says, and I've mentioned this before, guys who are sub 6'6" and under, Devin Booker, probably more of the 6'5" range, those smaller guys, not exactly the elitist of defenders, Kevin Durant still can be at times, outside of Steph Curry, big men run this league, whether it's Giannis Antetokounmpo, whether it's a bigger guy in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, whether it's LeBron James, outside of Steph Curry, I just think we saw tonight, and it continues to be true over these last 7 games, that this team is not going to go as Kevin Durant goes, but the number 1 option on this team, and for this team to win a championship, and I think Devin Booker is okay with this, similar to Dwayne Wade when LeBron James was on the Heat. Devin Booker's still the leader. The best player is Kevin Durant. And I think tonight just shows, again, Budenholzer continues to feed him in big spots that this team is not only going to go as Kevin Durant goes, but he is what's going to pull them through the playoffs, and he's got to be the best player for this team to win a championship. Do you agree?
It's hard to argue that right now.
Yeah,
I mean,
tough.
you're winning that argument between the two of us, and I know that's every KD stan and Kevin Durant himself's favorite debate is let's pit the teammates against each other, but I fell victim to it. So you're totally right to remind me of it, and it's crazy. I went and looked up your KD stats while you were making the point from last season, and we can have this opinion or this feeling more so that he's on this other earth with how he started. But the stats were awesome last year. It's almost like you really just have to be watching to see it. And I think that what I have seen, ignoring those stats and trusting my eyes, is nobody can really guard him right now.
No one.
And if you would have told me KD will go back to looking how he did at times in that Nets run, of course in the Warriors run, and obviously during MVP years and everything else when he was on the rise with the Thunder, I would have said, of course, we've seen it before. He's won Finals MVP 2 times. He's made deep playoff runs almost every year. He's had a healthy roster around him. So how could I say anything else? I just had, I guess, the PTSD from last year of watching him struggle to find space, and everything just looks so hard. So you're absolutely right. Right now, if this guy or even anything resembling this Kevin Durant is on this team and in as good of a rhythm come April, May, June, yes, he will do that. He can do that, and I expect it to happen.
And that is not, because we're not trying to pit people against each other. We're just trying to find the best way for this team to succeed. That is not me pitting Devin Booker against Kevin Durant or Kevin Durant against Devin Booker.
That's why you have both.
Yeah, exactly. It's a luxury. It's a champagne problem. Devin Booker the other night was the best player on this team, and at times, it's not just who's the best player on that team that night. It is who in the last 5 minutes are you going to trust the ball with. And Devin Booker, to his credit, is completely okay with it. We've heard nothing but winning cures everything. And Budenholzer has clearly, metaphorically, because Devin Booker is still getting his, Devin Booker just won Player of the Week last week, is putting the ball in Kevin Durant's hands and taking it out of Devin Booker's hands in these clutch time situations. And Kevin Durant, what I've noticed as well this year, and you had mentioned it, this is the biggest thing. The stats may look similar, but watch the bleeping games, and things aren't always as they seem. And so with Booker tonight, or with Kevin Durant tonight, just pulling this team out, man. Seriously, I don't know if you felt this way, but when it was 110-115, I thought this game was over.
Yeah.
I thought, and I was getting ready to do the, well, you know, they're not going to have it every night. We kind of saw this almost bite them in the butt against the Trailblazers. They overlooked an opponent. I don't know, man. This team's got a Chiefs feel to it where every game looks the same, and in the last 2 minutes, they just outplay you. They just outplay you.
Yeah, I believe it's 4-0 in clutch time games now after beating Portland. Unfortunately, didn't need to get there, but it did. They win that one. They win this one. They were 2-0 heading in, so undeniable. The reason that it got to clutch time, the reason we both had that sinking feeling around that moment late before KD went off and took over was Philadelphia had an unsustainable, lucky shooting night. And so this might sound like a weird one for me to come back with. Embiid is not playing for this team. Paul George, first game back, 4 of 14 from the field. But I still look at all of that, despite the Sixers scoring 116 and making this a game. I think the Suns had a pretty good defensive performance. And it's not so much in that they locked anybody down. To me, PG, it was a rhythm thing. He's just getting back to conditioning and everything else. I don't even give him credit for shutting him down. It was just that they executed what they wanted to do. They tried different things. I felt like when you look at Maxey in particular, I think Grayson maybe got burned by him a little bit. When he could force the Suns into switches, he kind of got what he wanted. He drew some fouls. But you look at Nurkic blowing up some plays late. He got a steal on Paul George. He took the ball out of PG and Maxey's hands at big moments. Dunn had some nice stops. Beal had some nice stops. I just feel like we're seeing kind of the blueprint here where that's what it looks like when we're all in May, June, July arguing about this stuff and we go, well, they'll be awesome on offense, so as long as their defense is good enough and they can have a game plan, they can execute it, they can have some different personnel options, some lineups to mix it up with, they can probably win a lot of games. Case in point, like we saw it tonight, what good enough on defense looks like. Timely stops, good adjustments, the right types of things, and so not the 82 points allowed type of just suffocating defensive night, but a good showing of like what it has to look like.
Well, I think if I told you that the Suns got outshot from three-point land by 9 of them, where the 76ers, yes, they shot 51 of them, but they made 20 of them. And the Suns only made 11 three-pointers tonight. And you had mentioned as well, Tyrese Maxey, you just have to survive some games where if Tyrese Maxey goes off and he's a great player and he's just making unpredictable shots and you still win that game, that's a cheap win that you are turning from a loss to a win that at the end of the year is going to pay dividends for this team. So everything you had said and more, timely stops. Also, just one other thing about, just quickly, because I know it's going to be easy to rag on Jusuf Nurkic. The guy had 15 points, was a team high plus 16, and had 15 rebounds in this game. He just got to be better in the turnover margin, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, I mean, Katie said it post-game. Maxey leaning off momentum, pull-up threes from deep, like that's Steph Curry stuff. That's Damian Lillard stuff. You're not going to sit there and say you failed as a defense because he nails one of those a few times. You live with it. You try to outscore him on the other end. The Suns did that. Let's get to a little bit of rookie watch. Not a lot to watch tonight. Some Nurk, and we'll go through some of the odds and ends numbers-wise coming up next. First, today's show is brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook. Start the season with a big return at FanDuel, where new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, with a win. FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place and the NBA. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more, all on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com today to take advantage, get that win, and get to work. Let's look at next week's NFL slate now that Monday Night Football is, what, it ended like 8 hours ago at this point, Ben? I always just say, FanDuel sometimes just gives you the money, sometimes they make you earn it. They're making you earn it right now, so what you want to do is you just find the best odds in a given week, and you just put a little money there, and you go to work. The Chiefs are minus 450, the Bears are minus 300, although, I mean, we just watched that happen. Maybe that's not the best one to do this week. Get that 150 in bonus bets and have some fun, all at FanDuel.com. Today's show also brought to you guys by the PrizePicks app. Nope. By Hims. Guys, sometimes intimate moments happen spontaneously. We always want to be ready so we can perform longer in the bedroom. This is the stuff Ben and I talk about while we're sitting here getting ready to record. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints, Viagra and Cialis, and their generics for up to 95% cheaper. You're saving money. That's really the bottom line. The process is 100% online. No need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. Just answer a series of questions on the Hims website, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option. If prescribed, your medication ships directly to you in discreet packaging for free. No embarrassment, no hassle, no stress, no spending way more than you should. No insurance on top of that, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. With hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, Hims can help you find the ED option that works for you. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. That's hims.com/lockedon. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with the healthcare provider who will determine if it's appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. All right, Ben, let's close it out. So, quick question, just off the top, rookie watch. Why did Ryan Dunn not play much in this game?
You know, you and I were talking about it up here in the little media box, and you know, I don't understand. You had a really good hypothesis that I'll throw back to you. But in this game, it seemed like on defense, Nurk was getting cooked by especially Yabusele. And what the Suns were trying to do, and you and I talked about this, was just be bigger than the Sixers. There's not many teams the Suns are going to be bigger than significantly, and they were in this game. It didn't feel like, in the moment, Nurkic was getting everything and more on the defensive end for that to pay dividends for them. And you and I are both looking at each other. Ryan Dunn, what are we doing? Probably the best guy to be on Maxey. From what I saw, did a much better job on Maxey than either Allen or Beal did at times. Why do you think, and I know the answer, but I want to prop you up here. Why do you think Ryan Dunn only received 10 minutes in this game, which, by the way, I think is a monstrosity all on its own.
Okay, so yeah, tying these two together,
Yeah.
right? Because I think obviously if it's less Nurk, you're probably getting more small ball, like you mentioned, especially on a night where Philly was almost all small ball.
Tiny.
Andre Drummond only played 15 minutes in this game. So I'll start with what Bud said, because we did hear from him. Let's give him the credit that he take his answer, take him at his word. He said the screening to create space for the offense, the rebounding. He just wanted to stick with Nurk on a night where he felt, for the most part, Nurk played well. Okay. I actually did see some Sixers people online as I was just kind of on Twitter and whatnot, giving everybody love for the 7 words or less game takes, that they were, on their end, a little down that the Sixers kept going to Yabusele. Like, do we really want to live and die by this? And, PG's getting touches. Maxey kind of didn't take enough shots late. So maybe that's a little bit of an element to it too, kind of a mind game of daring the Sixers to keep going to their, 5th best player in crunch time over better options and saying, okay, we'll let you take that shot. I mean, he was 5 of 11, so your mileage may vary on if you buy that.
It was good tonight.
But my theory that I shared with you is it's just a night where clearly they thought they could win this game, even though it shouldn't have been this close with no Embiid. They know they're the better team. And I think Bud just wanted to roll with a guy that has kind of had to suffer the embarrassment of getting benched, being kind of, the subject of ire from the fan base. And he just wanted to go with Nurk on a night where he thought he could win with him and kind of live to see another day and put that story to bed a little bit, at least for now.
I think it was a really good point you had made, because that is exactly the only thing that makes sense for Bud to stick with Nurkic there, because although they got away with it tonight, and that's the only way I can put it is they got away with it tonight, and even more so, Kevin Durant just bailed them out when it mattered the most. Nurkic should have been benched again. They should have went, in my opinion, to that small ball 5 lineup, stuck Dunn on Maxey, and just got a little bit lengthier and gotten passing lanes. Now listen, it worked tonight. Budenholzer gets to beat that drum. It seems like, in just playing off what you had said, the Suns were willing to lose this game to just show Nurk, you're our guy, we're going to rally around you, so that later in the season, because you and I have talked about this, guys, there's not a trade to be made for Jusuf Nurkic right now in the foreseeable future. Like, it's just not going to happen at this moment. We'll talk again in February, but to be able to put that belief in your guy and you take that gamble, you put it all on red, and it kind of does work out for you and you win this game, that is something for Nurk to be able to put in the back of his mind. And you look at the statistics, best plus minus on the team, 15 points, 15 rebounds. The only thing that sticks out like a sore thumb, and we keep talking about this because you can't have this, 5 turnovers on the night, man. And they were bad turnovers.
He had the one at the top of the key at the end, or in the fourth quarter, where he dove to the ground.
So bad.
Yeah,
It just looked. They were, in the worst way possible, unathletic turnovers. It wasn't even making a play. It was like tripping over your own feet, and it was even like myself, before I had looked and seen what Nurk had really done. Like, what are we doing here? Get this guy out of the game. But credit to Nurk. He fought back. That big dunk later in the game, in that game, did help set the tone for
Bud pointed to, he did make some plays downhill in the pick and roll, both that finish there and as a passer spraying out. Only 2 assists, but I think he did help that ball movement. The first half, they did beat the Sixers small ball by staying big, so you can't necessarily hammer them for it. Yabusele did have that travel late where I think he was starting to get in his own head of, okay, I keep being open. Am I really supposed to be taking these shots? So, we'd be having a different conversation if they lost. Obviously, that's just how sports work. But, I think you can at least understand the justification. The last thing I really wanted to hit, we talk about the closing lineup, just something to note kind of in the bench mob vibe check vein of things is, not only did they go big with Nurk instead of, Dunn or something, but Royce O'Neal wasn't out there to close the game either, and neither was Tyus Jones. It was Grayson Allen. So it was the big 3, Allen and Nurk, which is like a lineup we've barely seen any of down the stretch. I mean, Allen did play well. Maybe they just wanted that spacing, but it was a little strange to me. And then you mentioned not going small and no Dunn, so very different rotation, very different lineups than we've seen most of the season in this one.
I think you're pointing to the time where it was late in that third quarter, which I probably should have wrote that down, but I never want to see that lineup again.
No, this was in the end of the game. Allen was on the court.
Oh, okay. I'm
talking about straight up, basically the closing lineup.
Okay, well, I'm pointing to late in the third quarter where I think it was Mason Plumlee, Devin Booker, Grayson Allen, and there was no Kevin Durant, there was no Bradley Beal on the floor, and I was like, there's one bucket getter on this floor.
Yeah.
And late in the game, I just need to see more bucket getters. And that's why I like what I'm calling the death lineup, Royce O'Neal, Ryan Dunn, and then the big three. When you can deploy it. You can't just deploy it whenever you want. And the 76ers, it felt like you could have done that even though you didn't tonight. But it worked out. It worked out.
Yeah, the lineups with only one of the big three and no Tyus starts to get dicey, where you're just not always having enough creation on the court. Last thing, box score oddity here. Only 32 three-point attempts for the Suns tonight.
Yeah, it was not
kind
good.
of a weird one where, I don't know, I didn't feel that in the moment. It wasn't like I was watching the game demanding them take more, but you look up and, like, that's short of where they want to be, and the Sixers took 52. So they very well, if they lose this, we're probably looking at that disparity and being like, that's why they lost.
Yeah, there was one thing that I think really clicked for me that when I saw this, and I think more specifically it was Devin Booker. It felt like this Suns team, led by Booker and Durant, these three-pointers were not falling, or at least even more so for Devin Booker. If I'm looking at, he was 0 for 6 tonight. It felt like they went back to a little bit of old reliable, and just to be able to have that for this team, that they can still get buckets, shooting from the mid-range. I saw a couple of those from Devin Booker. It did feel like they abandoned some of their game a little bit. And also, there's multiple times Devin Booker, I was saying out loud basically, pull up three here. And he didn't take it. So I think they lost some confidence in their jumper tonight, but that's not something that I'm worried about.
Well, and they balanced it out by getting 56 points in the paint. So
but only 26 free throws, which was kind of crazy to me.
Yeah.
Paul George had that Austin Reeves whistle tonight. It was ridiculous.
And so I guess it's like one of those things where they were punishing the Sixers small ball. And the Sixers small ball wasn't even just having Yabusele at the 5. They had no size anywhere. And so I think you just really saw the Suns hammer that and get layups and dunks in the interior. And if you're doing that, I don't care how many threes you take.
This 76er team needs Embiid back because it just the quick 76er locked on take here. I mean, they need him back quickly because they get small quickly without Embiid on the floor.
No Batum this year, I mean, that's noticeable.
They look like some of the issues the Suns had last year. That's what they looked like. And so, we'll good for us. It's good for us to not be that team. Maybe they'll have Tyus Jones next year.
I'm literally forgetting. Is it 5 straight wins or 6? It's 5.
5 straight wins. You won the first game, lost to the Lakers, and won 5 straight. We're going streaking.
We're about the only people left.
We are the only people left in this arena.
Quite widely there.
That'll
wrap us up.
Not actually going streaking, just winning a lot of games. Sorry, guys.
They're cleaning.
They're not even looking at us.
Focused. Hit follow, subscribe, guys, if you haven't already. We'll be back. It's today at this point, later today, with another episode for you, getting you ready for Suns Heat on Wednesday. Enjoy your Tuesday. Enjoy the win. Enjoy the streak. Please don't streak, but enjoy it anyway. And we will talk to you guys later.